Jim Gazzolo, Heath Schroyer, on this edition of Poke Nation, we'll entitle it "Keep the Faith," brother. How's that? Keep the faith.
Okay,
you gotta believe.
We'll go with it.
You gotta believe. All right. The commissioner was in town this weekend.
Yeah.
Every time you and the commissioner get together, I feel like we're gonna have a big announcement about somebody coming, somebody going, somebody. Anything you want to mention? Anything you want to talk about?
He can't just come in and have dinner and enjoy Lake Charles and watch a game and see the tailgate and all that. Like, what's wrong with that?
He can, but that doesn't seem to be what happens when you two get together, right? I mean, there's no. If you're going to tell me we went out, we had a nice dinner, we did no planning, we didn't talk about anything, I'm good with that.
Yeah, I mean, nice dinner and came to the game and had some hors d'oeuvres and.
Did he enjoy the game?
He did. I mean, look, he said it. He said, listen, there's no game day experience, the tailgating, the Friday night stuff.
Yeah.
There's nothing like this in our league. We just have to put a better product on the field. We have the bones in place. We just have to. We obviously have to be better.
There's that. There is. I did a little thing beforehand. You'll see it this week. But the thing to me is Commerce exposed the obvious to me. Mm-hmm. They are stable with a coaching staff.
Yep.
They have been building for this moment for 3 years. They knew they were moving up. Mm-hmm. They are consistent in what they did, and they looked bigger, stronger, faster because all their pieces are in place. This is what I try to tell people is stability in coaching is the most important thing because it goes from one recruiting class to the next. You don't have that.
For sure. And listen, I say it all the time. But and you know this too. This is our fourth head coach in 5 years. To your point, and we stopped investing in this program about a decade ago. And you have that, and then you have the instability of the coaching staff. You had all these players leave when we had APR probation.
Sure.
And then you had the Hurricanes, and we are literally starting from ground zero. And if people don't want to hear that, I understand, but. That is the reality.
That is the reality.
And we are here. Here's where we are. And now let's figure out how we got to get to where we need to go. And the only way we can do that is have some patience, have a couple recruiting classes, get some stability in our coaching staff, and we have to fund the program. And it's the only way. And you're right about Commerce. Look, Commerce won a Division II national championship not so many years ago, and they've been stable in their. Same thing. You go down to Southeastern. You can. You have to get some continuity. We have the right guy. There's no question in my mind. This program right now is like it's coming off the death penalty, and we are truly building it from scratch.
Well, it is. In essence, it is coming off a death penalty.
That's
because
right.
It is coming off the probation, which is one thing, but it's also coming off being shut down.
Absolutely.
And not having an off season for 2 years because of the Hurricanes, it is essentially coming off a death penalty.
No question. If you said to someone, okay, you have no postseason, and before the transfer portal you could leave whenever you wanted. At that point, when we went on APR probation, every kid that wanted to leave could have left and didn't sit out, and guess what? 20 of them got poached out of here.
Yeah.
And the majority of them started at FBS programs. Okay, so now they're gone. You have the Hurricanes. You have no preseason. You have no spring practice for 2 years. If you do that to any program in the country, it is literally like coming off the death penalty.
Oh, yeah.
And so I get it. And listen, I have breakfast with Coach every week. We usually talk on Sundays after each game. And a couple of weeks ago, I told him, I said, hey, I hate to say this, but I told you so. Like this is not going to get fixed in a year. This is going to be a process. But he understands that, and the thing that I love about him is he knew that coming in. He knows what he's in for. He knows what he's about, and the good thing is, and people say, well, why did you hire Kim? Because exactly what this program needs and exactly where we are, he's done it before, and he has turned it before. We'll get there.
No, there are times and moments when I feel bad for him, but then I realize he signed up for it. But yeah, there is no question that so many things. And what people don't really, people ask me all the time, what's the worst part about it is you have 3 defensive backs that left this program last year.
That's right.
That are playing FBS football.
For sure.
One as high up as starting at LSU.
Right.
But they're all starting
right
at programs that are 500 or better. Mm-hmm. One of them starts at Marshall. who beat Notre Dame.
That's right.
So there was talent here.
Yes.
There's not, and there is talent still here. It's just not consistently here, staying. And now the thing that you worry about to me with the program, this is why programs fall for years, is can he keep the kids that are here committed? Because so many people are going to come and look and say, hey, this is now poaching season for everybody when it comes to the off season.
For sure. Hey, look, that is, I mean, unfortunately, that's the world we live in today. That's on Coach and his staff to continue to build those relationships with the kids. And look, this is not going to be a 1-year fix. And I know for a fact that when Coach recruited these kids, especially the freshmen, he talked about it. He talked about this is a process, and we're going to be champions at some point. But we literally are like coming off a death penalty, and it's going to take some time. We'll get there, but it's going to take some time.
But you got volleyball. We're going to talk volleyball coming up after the break.
And Sasha, we trust.
Sasha, we trust. And from the Schroyer Center. We're going to talk about the Schroyer Center. But we'll come back on Poke Nation after this.
Welcome back to Poke Nation. It is a privilege. We have Coach Sasha. Welcome, women's volleyball, rolling. And I almost tweeted this the other day. And Sasha, we trust. You got it rolling. And I seriously, I
put it on dollar bill or something?
No, I might. But I mean, what you've done with this program, and from the start of the season to where we are, and there's a lot of volleyball left to be played. But talk about where you're at with your team, and talk about what you got to do to finish strong and getting ready for the tournament.
Yeah, well, I appreciate that. That means a lot coming from you for sure. But I think right now, I mean, it's halfway through conference, so I'm really proud of where we're at. I think even those 3 losses that we had in conference, like we were right there, like we were leading in some of those sets. So I think just learning how to finish has been like our priority. And being clutch at the right times, and a lot of that has to do with what we do in practice, like putting pressure on our girls in practice so that when they get in matches, they feel comfortable to finish those games. So it's been really exciting to see the transformation, and we've been working a lot on our serving and our block and defense, and to see that translate to the matches has been awesome. So I'm excited going into the second half. There's a couple teams I want to get revenge on, so hopefully we can make that happen.
Good. And you talk about a key player that you got, right before league started, right? It was a young lady from San Antonio that you just got eligible, and it was a whole process to get her eligible. What kind of difference has she made?
Yeah, Skylar is an amazing person, like great volleyball player, but also a leader for us. And even when she was not eligible, she was leading us on the bench. And to have her eligible now means everything for us and our morale as a team. And physically she's getting there little by little. It takes time. She didn't have a full preseason to like get comfortable on the court and stuff, but she's gotten in there. We just had her play against Lamar a full match, and she had 11 kills, and she's really doing well offensively. So I'm excited to see her keep, working and getting better.
Awesome.
I think what people really want to know is, what did it feel like to beat your old school?
Oh,
Corpus Christi.
yeah,
because
that
that
felt
was
good.
I mean, you come from there. They're the league standard at the time, and you get a win out of them. How did that feel?
Oh, it felt really good. I was definitely nervous going into it because there's just a lot of emotions. But I tried to, keep it cool, and like nameless, faceless opponent. Every game in the Southland matters. So it's like at some point it's not like any bigger than it needs to be. But I think it felt good for sure, especially at home with all of our fans. Our games have been, high energy. We've had a lot of people show out and come support us. So it definitely felt really good.
How has the support been? Because everybody talks about McNeese in a lot of sports, and it gets great fan support. But what's it like for volleyball?
Yeah, it's been great. There's been a lot of support from like the community. I've had people come up to me after games and say that was the first volleyball game I've ever attended, and it was so fun and so much energy and so exciting. So I think people are excited. They're going to hopefully keep coming back, but it definitely gives us like a home court advantage for sure.
Well, what's it like? So obviously you're in the Legacy Center. I'm just going to piggyback on this, but when, you've been in this league, right? I mean, you're obviously at Corpus, and we hired you from there. But how do you compare this facility to the rest of the facilities you play in within the league?
Oh, it's by far like the best, I think. I think the fact that it's small enough where you can pack it.
Right.
Like it's not huge where it feels like really quiet in there. It's a perfect size for volleyball, but then on top of that, it's our own space. So like to be able to take pride in our own space means everything to our girls. And you know, obviously it's pretty new, so that's nice too. And yeah, we've just been enjoying the fact that we can practice in it every single day and feel comfortable. And then come game time, we're really confident.
Well, and you can tell because people have come out. You know, you go to these matches. I mean, there's just like there's an energy about it. You know, and you got like a little student section over there. I mean,
Yeah.
it's really really cool to see what you're building.
Yeah, it's been really fun, and a lot of the student athletes are coming out, which is great, and a lot of that has to do with our girls too, like their relationships with other athletes on campus. I think there's really good camaraderie between the athletes, and that again, that just means everything to our girls because they feel like they have the whole community behind them, you know, when they're playing in those tight games, especially those 5-setters that we've had.
With everything in mind, you're a new coach, but you're coming to a program that was kind of on the rise last year a little bit, especially at the end of the year. But it's almost, do you feel like you almost get a fresh start because you're back in this arena, because everything is new to them, and a lot of people are looking at you the first time and saying, hey, let's look at them because of the arena?
Yeah, I think for sure. I mean, it helps that they have this amazing facility to sit in and enjoy the game, right? And so I think that brings people here for sure. But then at the same time, it's a brand new team. I know last year they had some success, but all of our starters are pretty much new. So I think it's been exciting to see that transformation and build off of the momentum that they had last year, but also see new girls stepping up that didn't play last year.
Yeah, he's trying to get the name of the building changed to the Schroyer Center. You know?
Oh,
Just so you know that.
Whatever.
Just so you know
Darth
that.
Vader strikes again.
Just so you know that. So when
Right
you're talking
before
about,
the break,
That's
of
why
course.
That's why he always asks how good is the facility. Because he wants it to be in the Schroyer Center. When we come back, we'll talk more volleyball after this on Poke Nation. We're back talking volleyball, and I have not been to a match.
What in the world?
Oh boy, here we go.
Oh my
wow.
gosh.
I don't
It's
get it.
sad.
I'm leaving. No, just kidding.
Yeah, I don't blame you.
I don't get invited to such things.
What do you?
But-
Whatever.
Well, you're invited now.
No,
Here's your invitation.
I say that only because I've heard from a lot of people talking about how good this program has been the last couple of years, but especially now. And people are talking about the fact that it is competing for championships like last year. How important was that kind of to set standards that you want to set a standard if you want to be one of those as you come in?
Yeah, I mean, personally, I've, had some success as a player and as an assistant coach. So like my goal is, to win a championship as a head coach from day one that I got here. But I think looking at our personnel and our culture, like that takes time, you got to build it. And I would never throw around the C word if I didn't think that we had the talent to do it. And I've told the girls that many times, but I think it comes down to the little things, and we've been working on that. And I think it's been, we've had some success so far. So let's keep it rolling.
The thing about volleyball and sports in general now that are starting this way is you're a different team at midseason and then a completely different team at the end of the season than the start now, with all the transfers and with all the newcomers and that. How is that looking, and how does the league change the next time around, the second time around?
Yeah, well, a lot of teams are obviously improving, and Commerce, for example, we're playing them next Saturday, and their hitting percentage has gotten higher. A lot of their stats, they're like top 3 in a lot of the statistical categories. So we're looking at this next week as a big week for us because we played them the first time, and we went to 5 with them, and we barely beat them. So it's every team's improving, every team's getting better, and that's what you want. The top 3 or 4 teams have all kind of beaten each other. So it's like it's anyone's day. Like at the end of the day, it could be anyone that wins the game.
So let me ask you this, Coach. Your first time head coach, right? And we talked about this when we hired you. What is the biggest, now you're midway through your first year, what has been the biggest adjustment that you can tell Poke Nation about moving overseas, right? It's a lot. I've always said when I was an assistant coach, I made suggestions. As a head coach, I made decisions, right? But what have you found has been the biggest difference for you?
I think that the biggest difference for me has been just knowing that the eyes are always on me, and knowing how I'm coming across and how that affects everybody around me. from my staff to the kids to, anybody that I interact with, just knowing that the eyes are always on me, and that's a positive thing, but I also have to know that that affects like my girls, and when I'm in a good headspace and I'm confident and, calm, cool, collected, that's how they play, and so as an assistant, it doesn't affect the team as much, I think, but like as the head coach, like you're the one making decisions. So ultimately you got to have a level head, and, the team kind of plays into that.
Well, let's talk about this too, because one thing I was really impressed with, and one of the first decisions you made was who you hired. Talk about your two assistants and what they bring to the table.
They're amazing. I love them so much. So Joe Morales, he's super experienced, and a big reason I wanted to hire him is because he's been around the game for a while, and he's learned from a lot of high-level coaches, and he's had a lot of success at the schools he's coached at before, and he's very offensive-minded, and I'm more defensive-minded, so we're a great pair in that regard. So he works a lot with the setters and the offense, and it's been awesome. And then Yasmin Tan, she's our GA, and she's amazing as well, and she's actually from Australia, which is cool. So she brings a new, culture and new experiences. She played at a high level at New Mexico and Boise State. So she's been a great mentor for the girls, and she's an incredible blocking coach. So our blocks per set is like one of the highest in the nation, and a big reason for that is because of Yaz. So. And
I think when you look at the staff you put together, I think, and you kind of mentioned it, but they both complement you, and they both really help bridge gaps with the girls. When I watch, I see, like Joe has so much experience, and I think it's really important. And I've always said this, Jim, when you're a new coach and you hire someone that has a lot of experience, it shows that you're comfortable in your own skin and you're secure in your own skin. There's a lot of head coaches that would not hire a Joe because they'd be intimidated. Well, he might know a little bit more than me, or he's got more experience. And that was the first decision that you made as a head coach. And I remember telling Miss Bridget, I said, she's going to be great, because you're secure enough in yourself to do that. And what you're building here is really special. And I know we'll finish well, but I'm really excited about where this program is going to go in the next few years.
I'm excited too.
And Sasha, we trust.
My big question is, in the last minutes here, is the difference you've had to learn from changing from assistant as far as your personality is. Because when you're assistant, you're the go-between. And a lot of times you're the friend of the player and have to play that role. Now you have to be the heavy. How was that adjustment?
Yeah, I think I do a good job just like keeping that professional and that separation, because I am younger too, and I can connect with the girls really well, but I think there's a line there, and I think I do a good job of playing around with that, and being there for them as a mentor, but also keeping it professional and knowing that I'm in the head coaching chair.
When we come back on Poke Nation, we coach's final thoughts on this week after this. We're back, and volleyball's exciting times.
Yeah, she's done a great job. I mean, really.
I hear from people that tell me it is a great atmosphere.
It really is. I mean, and she mentioned it, but it's just big enough, and it's not too big, it's not too small, but you get 500-600 people in there, and it's a real environment. Our girls have a lot of energy when they play in this building, and it's been great. And one thing that she doesn't take enough credit for is that the following that she has now gotten is a lot of it comes down to her being able to engage in this community, engage with the campus community. People like her. She's a likable person. She has a great personality. It's infectious, and people want to get behind it and support it. And I knew when we hired her, Jim, that she's going to be green, right? I mean, she's really young, first-time head coach. I never tell people who to hire, but like I said in the last segment, her ability to hire Joe and the staff that she's put together really complements her. She's a really good leader, and she's a really good coach. This program is going to take another couple steps forward here in the next couple of years while she's at the helm.
Well, by hiring a coach with more experience, and people can look at it and say, uh-oh, she's telling you that she cares more about the program than herself.
For sure. It's called security. Yeah, I mean, it's, look, I mean, I say it all the time. I mean, the best leaders surround themselves by people that are smarter and more experienced a lot of times than them. I mean, Hell, I say it all the time. If I walk in the room and I'm the smartest one in the room, I need to find a new room.
Yeah.
You know? but I mean,
Well,
really,
you don't have to feel bad now. You're not here. You know you're not. So here.
that is true. This is the only room. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh, come on.
But no, really though, I am excited about what she's done, and I really believe, we'll see. It's a lot of volleyball left, but I really think that we're trending in the right direction.
Well, the one thing is, and I hate to compliment you, you know that, but you
I
have
know.
gone out and hired people that are committed to the community.
Mm-hmm.
All of your coaches do a good job at that, and I don't know if it's somewhere written in their contracts or how it's done, but they have. We didn't see that for a while.
Yeah. Well,
In fact, we saw a disconnect for
Oh, yeah.
maybe 10 years.
for sure. And I think too, that was part of like having silos, right? I mean, when I got here, this university had so many silos. We still have them. It's just not as many. But the foundation office never talked to the athletic director's office.
no question.
Okay, and then every coach had to, or every sport had their own fundraising. And
Yeah.
I mean, it was just, it's a mess. And that is partly why we're in a predicament that we're in football right now and in men's basketball.
Yeah.
It's like if this was the model, everyone would do it this way in the country. Okay, so we're adapting, we're changing, and obviously, change is hard. Some people have a hard time with change, but it is what's important.
Oh, a lot of people.
But at the same time, though, what volleyball has done and what we're doing and how we're moving this department, I'm really happy with it. Obviously, we need to win more football games. We will. But I also understand that that's like taking a battleship and doing 180 degrees in the middle of the ocean. It doesn't happen overnight. It's too big of an animal, if you will, to move that quickly.
No. One thing about this building, and I don't know who designed it, but the ability of not putting volleyball on the main court so that it doesn't look empty
100%.
and putting it in the smaller gym to make it look packed is a
Absolutely.
huge impact on a program.
That goes back to the previous administration. With Bruce and Tanner Steins, they actually did that. That was a great decision that they made because it'd been really easy and really cheap, if you will, to not have that other side and just put everything in here. But then you go back to scheduling issues again and all those things, and it was a great decision and something that will not only help the basketballs, but is really going to help volleyball and has helped volleyball.
And will that now about that is with the tournaments coming here, will that be able to be used as a warm up facility?
Absolutely.
So we don't have the long delay.
Exactly
in that?
right. Exactly right.
That's-
And you look at the locker rooms too. And that's you talked about Chris Grant being here. That's one thing we really did talk about was starting to talk about the basketball tournament. From the ticket sales standpoint to the marketing of it. It's a huge deal. And the Visit Lake Charles community, the mayor's office, all of them are really involved in helping make this tournament something that's really special because it's a huge. I mean, people really I don't think understand how big it is to host this.
It is the showcase event for a conference.
Absolutely.
There may be games like a Michigan-Ohio State game. It's a bigger game as football and that. But as far as an event goes, the men's basketball tournament is the showcase event for a conference.
100%, and it's nothing moves the needle like that NCAA tournament, and to be able to host your league tournament, it is a huge deal, and it's an unbelievable. I'll tell you one thing: the mayor's office understands how big it is for this community on an economic standpoint, and that's what's really cool.
Yeah, and let's face it, we could use all the economic benefits we
Absolutely.
can get.
Absolutely.
That is probably your biggest coup. Maybe the buyout of not having to pay is a bigger coup.
Yeah.
But that is the biggest coup that we'll see this coming year. And to have them both here, it's amazing what you did to the conference. We'll find more about it next week on Poke Nation. Thanks for joining us.